So we're going to cover a lot of basic fundamentals this morning, and I'm going to get right into it with you. Let's start off by talking about the fact that you have to have a recruit-to-recruit mentality. You do not want to have a recruit-to-sell mentality. You want to have a recruit-to-recruit mentality. You know, a sale is a natural byproduct of recruiting. We've always believed, and we've absolutely proven to ourselves, and many of you have proven to yourselves, that if you focus on recruiting, see, when you focus on recruiting, you have to explain to people what your opportunity is all about, don't you? If you set up a time to get together with somebody to talk to them about the possibilities of earning an extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month part-time, when you do sit down, you got to show them what you do. The worst thing that could happen is when you're done, they might say, you know what, I appreciate so much the fact that you're giving me an opportunity to work with you on a part-time basis, but for this reason or that reason, I'm not going to pursue with you. But you know what? That F&A is awesome. Could you do one of them for me? I mean, it's a no-brainer. People that focus on sales, most of them, not all of them, but most of them don't do a lot of them. And people that focus on recruiting do a tremendous amount of sales. I've been telling a story recently, Jimmy, about a picnic that you had up in your house in Wayne. And this must have been 8 years ago. And I'm not going to go into any names, but I told you that we've been out of the field for 13 and a half years. And we were at a picnic. Jimmy had his mastermind team over his house for a picnic at Wayne, and it was a great time. And we're playing horseshoes, we're playing volleyball. Jimmy's cooking up burgers. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy rallied the team together and decided to put us in a head-to-head contest, a head-to-head contest of personal premium. Now, I had not written business, and I can't tell you how long. And to make matters worse, he pits me against somebody on my own team, which you would never think he would do something like that. So here we are. We're at the beginning of the month. We've got 30 days. It's you against you, and you against Ginsburg, you're against so-and-so, and Penn, you're against so-and-so, and Presley, you're against so-and-so. And the bottom line is, at the end of the month, whoever won got to put a pie in the other person's face. So it's a serious matter of pride here. Especially when it's a matter of pride, no matter who it is, but when it's somebody on your team. And we went out and we wrote over $4,000 of personal premium that month, and we won. I was going to say obviously, but that sounds cocky, but there was no way I was going to lose. But my point of telling you the story was I did not do it by looking for sales. I did it by looking for recruits, and the natural byproduct of looking for recruits was you got a bunch of sales. Because when you show somebody who's married, owns a home, has children, what we do, the worst thing that can happen is you're going to get a sale out of it. So you want to be a builder. So you always got to have that recruit-to-recruit mentality. We have always set up all our appointments on the premise of a business opportunity, with the exception of the following. When we've done business with people and we got them to sign referral letters, most of you probably don't use referral letters. When I was out in the field, we always used referral letters, because you had a higher appointment ratio when you used the referral letter. Now, I'm not telling you to use the referral letter. That's up to you. You can discuss that with your RVP. But I knew if I got 10 referrals from Mike and Donna Roten, if I got 10 referrals on a piece of paper that I could call, or I got 10 referral letters that they signed, I got more appointments with the signed referral letters, especially with the PS on the bottom. Definitely sit with Jim. It'll be well worth your time. He won't sell you anything. I just got more appointments that way. So the letter, as most of you know, says, you know, I sat down with Jim Penn. He shared some great financial concepts. So now, because they already know I helped them out financially, that's the only time I ever set up appointments on the premise of showing him how to save money. And then what I would do is when I got over the kitchen table, I'd recruit on the back end. So I'd still have the same focus of recruiting. It was just a different way. You follow what I'm saying? Okay. So you want to have that recruit-to-recruit mentality if you're going to build a company. And we talked about a lot of reasons yesterday as to why you want to build a company, didn't we? Okay, so the first thing you got to do is go wide. Now, the facts are 99.9% of all the people in this room have no width going for them whatsoever. I am not criticizing you. I'm waking you up. You need to get wide. If you were going to go build a home, would you experiment and see if you could do it with 2 walls? I know nobody else has done it. I know everybody else has 4 walls, but we're going to do it, man. We're going to try to build this house with 2 walls. Somehow, some way, this is going to be a sturdy structure. It's going to be incredible. No, you'd have at least a foundation of 4 sides, wouldn't you? Well, if you've got 3 directs, and I consider it, and we'll talk about direct legs later because that's a different issue. But if you've got 3 directs that are showing up, because if they don't show up, it's not a direct. If you're new and some of the things I talked about you can't relate to, that's okay because a month from now this will all come together and make a lot of sense to you. But if you have 3 people showing up direct to you, you're not wide. Or if you've got 5 people showing up direct to you, you're not wide. You need to go out there and get wide, and you should not be intimidated by that. When we were playing golf the other day, Dennis was talking about Rob, and we were playing golf the other day, I told him that you should not stop personally prospecting until you got 25 directs showing up. You shouldn't even consider slowing down until you have at least 25 people direct to you showing up every single week. It doesn't all have to necessarily be in the same location. You might be running your base shop operation in 3 different locations. And you might have 8 a week showing up in this location. You might have another 10 showing up in this location. You might have another 7 showing up in this location. And you've got 25 directs showing up to you every single week. I mean, these are people that are in the business. Now, once you have 25 directs that are showing up, going wide is optional. Now, if you're smart, you'll continue to do what? Go wide. But it is optional. And one of the things that you're going to learn today is just because I tell you got to have 25 directs doesn't mean you have to personally recruit every single one of those directs. There's a lot of people direct to us that we did not recruit, but through tap routing, they became direct to us. And yes, we will explain tap routing to you. But you've got to make a decision to go wide. And you also must set a realistic goal. If you've been here 6 months and you've got 3 directs showing up, don't sit down and say, man, I'm so pumped up after this school. This is incredible. I'm going to have another 15 directs showing up to me by the end of the year. That's not realistic. And a lot of times people will listen to a tape, read a book, go to a meeting, and they'll get all jacked up and they'll set unrealistic goals. There's minimum standards. Jimmy talks about the minimum standards all the time. If you're part-time, you should hire no less than how many directs a month? 2. Now, that is a minimum standard. As a part-timer, your goal should be 3, but your minimum level of acceptance should be 2. As a full-timer, your goal should be what? 4. You got to have 4, 1 a week. And I'm not going to talk a lot about full-time because most of you are part-time, but it really should not be an issue being that there's 168 hours in a week. I mean, what else are you spending your time doing? See, if you take a look at anybody big in this company, there was a period of time in their career where they sold out to going wide. And it really takes a focus. It takes a discipline. You got to get into that groove. You got to get into the zone. You got to get that flow going that Dennis was talking about when he was referring to the book. I mean, there has to be that period of time where that is your focus. You must go wide. Hire people direct to you. Does that make sense? Now, once you do that, you need to hire someone for your new direct immediately. And you must adapt the mentality of recruit is not a recruit until they what? Until they have a recruit. What's the biggest motivator? The biggest motivator is not money. It's not cars. It's not $1 million homes. It's fear of loss. That's the biggest motivator. And that's the biggest reason why you have to hire someone for your new person immediately. Because fear of loss takes over. Listen, every single one of you at some point or another in your career here in Primerica is going to seriously consider quitting. You're seriously going to consider quitting. I considered quitting when I was making $5,000 a month. So it has nothing to do with how much money you're making. See, as human beings, we sabotage our own success. And I happen to be going through a period of time in my career in Primerica where I was just sabotaging my own success and I was telling myself that I was not a leader. So I was making $5,000 a month because I was personally producing. It's not hard to make money if you're personally producing. But I had a bunch of people on my team and they were doing nothing. Have you ever been there? Okay, they were doing nothing. And I kept hearing the founder of the company get on TV every single day saying, if you recruit, your people will recruit. If you sell, your people will sell. If you do this, and I was selling and they weren't. And I was recruiting and they weren't. So I was starting to tell myself I wasn't cut out to be a leader. And I seriously considered quitting. But there were 2 things that kept me in this business. Number 1 was my partnership with Gina. See, you talk about how important partnership is. If Gina was not doing this business with me and I started talking about quitting, then she would have told me, that's right, you dummy, get the hell out of there. You're wasting your time. Go. Okay, but because she was doing the business with me, because she was just as committed as me, when I was going through my screwed up period in this business, she slapped me around and straightened me out and got me to understand it's not you, it's your people. You need to get different people. And then the other reason I didn't quit was because of Jimmy, because I had alignment with my upline. Have you ever heard the principle have a merger with your upline? And obviously Jimmy has his own special way of straightening you out. Okay? I can't use the terminology that he used, but, you know, he slapped me around too, and then I finally got through that quitting stage. I've only had 2 people in my entire 16 years in Primerica tell me that they've never considered quitting. I mean, 2 people that came up to me after a meeting with empathy, with sincerity, but they wanted to rebuttal what I was saying. I just want you to know I'm not one of those people. And they eventually quit, okay? That's a fact. Everybody goes through a quitting stage. And if they don't have anybody on their team, it's real easy to quit. But if they got somebody on their team, they're going to think twice. If Jim Penn's relatively new in this business and my upline helped recruit Mike Roten for me, and I'm going through a quitting stage, I'm going to think twice about quitting because I'm going to sit back and say, but what if? But what if Mike and Donna go on to become RVPs? And I could have overridden them for the rest of my life. What if? Maybe I should stick around a while and just see how this thing plays out. Give your people a reason to stay. You got to lock them in. So when you hire someone, you really need to be obsessed with getting people under them immediately. To me, the magic number has always been 3. Get 3 people under them ASAP. And look at it as your responsibility to hire those 3 directs for them. But don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. Because if you tell them, man, Mike, I'm going to go hire those 3 people for you, man. I'm going to take the responsibility. I'm going to go, because then what you're doing is breeding weakness and you're breeding dependency. And you don't want to breed weakness and dependency. You want to breed independence. You want to breed strong leaders. So you're going to sell him on getting big. You're going to teach him how to recruit, and he's going to do all the things they need to do. But in your mind, when Mike introduced you to his brother, when Mike and Don introduced you to their best friend, what are you going to do? You're going to give it 150% to what? Recruit those people into the business for who? For them. Because you want to do what? You want to lock them in. Now, the following numbers that I'm going to show you are incorrect. Okay? So don't write these numbers down. You hear all the time that you need to what? Double-digit recruit, correct? Right. You need to double-digit recruit. Why do you need to double-digit recruit? Because in any business, and the important word that you should have just gotten out of that line was in any business. Any is the key word. Not Primerica, any business, which requires self-motivation, 20% of the people do 80% of the work. That's not Primerica. Real estate requires self-motivation, right? How many people have you really ever met who make money in real estate? Almost anybody I've ever met who's in real estate, they got a license hanging on some broker's wall. They don't make no damn money. Hardly anybody makes money. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. In New Jersey, they published this book of the incomes of the real estate people in New Jersey. When I saw it, I was blown away at how little people make. Because to me, it looks like such an easy way to make money. It's ridiculous. I know it's a heck of a lot easier than this. You can never make as much money as you can make here. But my point is, any business that requires self-motivation, 20% of the people do 80% of the work. So if you hire 10 people over the course of the year, you're not going to have anything. You've got to get the law of large numbers working for you in the shortest period of time. And 10 is the magic number. Now, I'll give you the real numbers. Out of every 10 people you hire, 1 will be a player. What do you mean a player? I mean 1 is going to be hungry like you. They're going to be intense like you. They're going to be fired up like you. Man, they're going to have an unbelievable desire to win. They're going to want it real bad. They're going to take the initiative. They're just going to do it. Because every time you stop, they bump into you. Every time you go to a leadership school, they're there. Every time you show up to the office early, they're there. You stay late, they're there. 1 is going to really play the game with intensity. And you do not create that. You don't make motivated people, you find motivated people. That's a lesson that most people take a long time to learn in this business, and me being one of them. It took me, I'm embarrassed to tell you, at least 5 years to learn that lesson. I worked real hard on changing people my first 5 years. I'm embarrassed to tell you that, but it's the truth. Now listen, are you telling me, Jim, that you cannot motivate people? No, I'm not telling you that. What I have found is that you can motivate motivated people, but you can't motivate unmotivated. Jimmy and I have been in business together for over 16 years. He still motivates me. He still sells me the dream. But it's because I'm motivating. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When Jimmy's around Joe Enser, when Jimmy's around Bob Stafford, they motivate him, but it's because he's already motivated. You can motivate a motivated person. You cannot motivate an unmotivated person. And every one of you are going to try. And some of you are going to try longer than others. Me, I did it for 5 years. Okay? So the bottom line is you got to find motivated people. Everybody's looking for players, aren't they? Well, out of every 10 you hire, 1 will be a player. 3 will be a happy part-timer. What's that mean? 3 are going to use their license on a consistent basis and, write business and get checked. Maybe they're into doing the smart part of our business and they're going to do a lot of smart business. Maybe they're into really educating people how they're getting ripped off by their life insurance company and they're going to do a lot of term insurance business. Maybe they're really into mutual funds or 401ks. But 3 will be really happy part-timers. I came in this for an extra 15 grand a year and I'm making my 15 grand a year. I got a gal that works full-time for a company called Bristol Myers Squibb. And you might have heard of them. And last week, she got a $3,000 paycheck part-time. I mean, it was awesome, from one securities transaction. $3,000, but she loves this business part-time. She does not have intentions of being a giant in Primerica. I think she's just a happy part-timer making her extra 20 grand a year. And for every 10 you hire, 3 of them are going to be a happy part-timer. How many happy part-timers do you want? Thousands. Don't try to make people want what you want. Just help them get what they want. If that's what they want, help them get that, okay? 3 will be sometime, no time, anytime. What's that mean? Maybe they show up to the meeting 2 or 3 times a month. Maybe they show up to a leadership school if it's convenient, if they don't have to drive too far, if they don't have to get up too early. They got their toe in it. They're not committed. They're just involved. How do you identify the sometime, no time, anytimers? Well, obviously, it's easy to identify because they're not always there, right? But I'm going to give you the easiest way to identify a sometime, no time, anytimer. They're the biggest talkers. The people that you have on your team that talk the most crap, they're usually your sometime, no time, anytimers. The people that run around, watch out for me, man. Look out, eat my dust, watch my smoke. I'm going to be at the top of the bulletin, man. You and me, man, we're going to be sitting in Hawaii and we're going to be doing the people that talk this game are usually the people, they're full of crap. It's the people that just go to it and let their numbers do the talking are the ones that identify them as your players. And 3 will join the witness protection program. So you got 3 to join the witness protection program, 3 that are sometime, no time, anytimers, 3 happy part-timers, and 1 player. Now listen, you don't want them to join the witness protection program, but they're gonna. That's just the way it is. And sometimes it's like 2 hours after you got their 199. It's incredible. I mean, you sat down with them, had an incredible session with them, developed their market, they're pumped up, they're excited. I mean, it's unbelievable. Gave you a check for $199, registered for PFSU. You told them, hey, listen, I'll give you a buzz about 9 o'clock and we'll just solidify what day we're going out. Next week, you call them up, you get a machine, you leave a message. 2 days later, you don't hear from them. You leave another message. 2 days later, you don't hear from them. And you never see them again for the rest of your life. That's the thing that's really amazed me about these people. It's like before you hired them, you used to run into them at Publix or you used to run into, you don't ever see them. They disappear. I think they spend the rest of their life like really scouting out places when they go places, and they want to make sure they disappear, okay? And you know what? It don't matter who you are, it's going to happen. So don't take it personally. Now, those are the numbers. How long do you want to take to get 10? You need to get them in a short period of time. And your goal is to get them in what? A 30-day period of time. The facts is that if you recruited 10 people a month onto your team for 6 months, you're either an RVP or you're within smelling distance. I mean, you are that close. You recruit 10 people a month onto your team for 6 months, and you're either an RVP or you're right there, man. You're that close. People say, how did Jim Meyer go to RVP so fast? How did Jim Penn go to RVP so fast? Because we went to RVP fast. It wasn't because we were good. I promise you. You saw the picture Tammy put on TV last week of me, Jimmy, Giesberg, Alvarez, right? You saw that picture? Come on. We weren't good, but we had masses of people joining our team. We were in the heavy-duty, all-out recruiting business. And by sheer numbers, you get the happy part-timers, you get your players. That's why. So you want to get double-digit recruiting going. That makes sense, doesn't it? Now, I'm going to throw this in here because I really don't want to, I didn't want to miss this. Okay. I want to get this point across to you on appointment setting. You need to make a decision to become confident in your ability to set appointments. Now, last night we spoke about abilities, and I don't have time to go repeat it again. But abilities are something you what? You develop them, you acquire them. Nobody is just, they're born and they're just a great appointment setter. I mean, you become a great appointment setter because you decide to become great at setting appointments. You become great at inviting people to meetings because you decide to become great at inviting people, and you learn what works and what doesn't work. And you need to understand that you need to make a decision to become confident in your ability to set appointments because of this. Your ability to set appointments allows you to control your activity. If you don't take the time to get good at setting appointments, you can't control your activity. And if you can't control your activity, you can't control your outcome. Last week in my full-timers meeting, I had every single full-timer sit down. We took a couple, and we made them our pretend clients. And I said, set an appointment with them. Show me how do you set an appointment. Tell me what you say. You know, don't turn to me. Don't ask me anything. Pretend I'm not even here. Show me how you make a phone call. What do you say when you set an appointment? You got to become great at setting appointments. Not good, great. And you can't be great until you've gone through good, and you can't go through good until you're bad, as Jimmy always talks about. And you can't go through bad until you try, right? I was terrible at setting appointments, but I made a decision to get good so I could control my activity. If we did not take the time to get good at setting appointments, remember that contest I was telling you about that Jimmy put us in? Yeah. I would have got killed. I mean, you can't, if you're going to start from scratch and make something happen, you better know how to set an appointment, right? Make a decision that you're going to get good at setting appointments, and it doesn't have to take a long time. Remember, when making a phone call, your purpose is to set an appointment, not do the appointment. We spoke about that yesterday, right? Right. Your purpose is to set the appointment, not do the appointment. That's when we were talking about don't throw up on people. All you want to do is create interest. That's the part of yesterday's talk where we said there's a difference between prospecting and recruiting. Prospecting is the process of creating enough interest for someone to take a look at what we do. That's what you want to do in setting appointments. If I'm calling Mike and Donna, I'm just saying, hey, Mike, Donna, how you doing? We're shooting the breeze for a couple seconds. Hey, let me tell you why I'm calling. Happen to be expanding a business right now, looking to hire a couple people on a part-time basis who may or may not be interested. But I was wondering if I could get together with you, show you guys what it is that I'm doing. There's a chance to make an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month. At the very least, even if you're not interested, you might know somebody who is. Would you help me out? Could I sit down with you one night this week? And you just set an appointment. You make it sound so easy, Jim. Well, anything becomes easy if you do it over and over and over and over, right? Right? Whatever you do on your full-time job probably comes pretty easy to you right now. A lot easier than it did your first day. Anything you do over. Don't ever get impressed by anybody who stands up on stage and it just flows out of their mouth. Listen, when people have been here 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, they should be good. They should be good. Something's wrong if they're not, right? Right. So you got to make a decision to get good at setting appointments so you can control your activity. And remember, when making a phone call, your purpose is to set the appointment, not do the appointment. And when you're working in the cushy market, it's as simple as, hey, Mike, listen, you and Donna are going to be home Tuesday or Thursday? Great, I got something to show you, someone I want you to meet. Would it be better to stop by and say, that cushy market is very simple. Now, we talked about in your warm market, technique is not important. But in the acquaintance and referral market, technique is important, isn't it? And you all have access to scripts and everything like that, so I'm not going to go over that with you today. My main reason for showing you this is I do not want you to take lightly the importance of setting appointments, of your ability to set appointments, because it is everything. You need to get good at setting appointments, because if you can't set appointments and you can't invite people to a meeting, then you can't control anything. Everything falls on your ability to get someone to a meeting or to get someone to sit down with you over the kitchen table. Now let's talk about prospecting a little more. Prospecting drives what? Everything. Prospecting drives everything. Number one, I'm going to give you some keys with prospecting. Be consistent. Be consistent. I have never in my career spoke to 20 people in a day. I know many of you have. I can't even honestly tell you. I don't know. Maybe there were a couple times I spoke to a prospect at 10 people in a day. Maybe. But usually it was just like, I would call a bunch of people in my warm market until I got the appointments that I needed to get. or until I got the guest invites that I needed to get, and then I'd friendship farm 3 to 5 people a day. But I was never someone that just, man, sat down and just pounded numbers, because I really worked on what we talked about yesterday, getting good at what you do. Not because I hadn't accepted the numbers, but it was, if I was going to play the numbers, I wanted to get the highest ratio of success possible. And I found out that if you're consistent, you could go make something big happen. Think about this. If you prospected 3 people a day, and we're not talking about the same old 3 people that you prospected last week. We're talking about new people. But if you prospected 3 people a day, that's 21 people a week. That's 84 people a month. How can you not get results? The only way you can not get results is if it's 100% cold, or if it's that you have not taken time to get really good at what you do. I hope you're getting this underlying message. Get good. Get good. And that does not happen by accident. You got to work on getting good. Anybody who's in this room who's been here at least a year should be comfortable enough for me to say, would you do me a favor, come up in front of the room and show everybody how you set an appointment? Come up in front of the room and do me a favor, show people how you invite somebody to the meeting. Use Jim and Tammy Myers as an example. And if you've been here at least a year, you should be comfortable. Now, I know most of you would be very uncomfortable. You need to work on getting good at what you do. You need to master your craft. If you master your craft and you are consistent with your prospecting, the results would be amazing. Consistency is the case. Every time, every leadership school that Jimmy and I and the Maniac team went to every 6 weeks at Bob Stafford, he always talked to us about the rocket ship. He always talked to us about the space shuttle. He always talked to us about how much energy it took to get it to break the Earth's atmosphere. And once he got it, broke the Earth's atmosphere, they'd shut down the engines and it would go around the Earth somewhere between 16 and 25,000 miles per hour, and the engines were shut off. You've got to get this sucker into overdrive, right? And the only way to do it is through consistency. See, if you think about that space shuttle example, all of you at one time or another have seen a liftoff on TV, right? And it really is amazing the amount of thrust and energy it takes to get that ship into the air and out of the Earth's atmosphere. It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, look at the size of those fuel tanks. Doesn't it have like 3 of them, 2 rocket boosters on the side and one jumbo fuel tank there? Would NASA ever say, hey guys, let's just experiment this time. We'll do full throttle for the first 4 seconds. Then let's tell them to just instruct them to cut back to 3/4 throttle. Let's just see what the results are. We'll only tell them to cut back for a second, and then we'll tell them to go full throttle again. What'll happen? They'll go from this to this, right? It's going to crash and burn. It's got to be full throttle all the way until it what? Breaks the Earth's atmosphere. It's got to be consistent full throttle. Most of you have flown in an airplane. A lot of times when you fly in an airplane, it seems like, man, this pilot's taking an awfully long time to pull this thing into the air. And we've gone down a really good distance of this runway. I know there's not much runway left. When the hell is this guy, you've been there? Okay? And you would never want, I know nothing about flying, but I know they have to go a certain speed to take off, right? Okay, would you ever want them experimenting and cutting back? Let me just cut back for a second and then give it full throttle again and see if we can still lift this baby off before we hit that oil tank at the end of the runway at Newark Airport. Okay? Well, the bottom line is one of the challenges that a lot of you have is you always pull back. You'll go to a school. You'll get pumped up and excited, and you'll prospect for the next 7 days. Then something happens, like your best guy quits, or one of your clients calls and says, I've been thinking. Or you usually have 8 people show up to the meeting every single week, and you showed up to the meeting on Tuesday night, and only 3 people showed up. So you go into a mental funk, and the next day you don't prospect. And the next day you don't prospect. And the next day you don't prospect. Then you listen to a great tape, you get excited, and you start prospecting again. And you prospect for 2 weeks, then something goes wrong, and you stop for a week. And then something goes right, and you start and go for another 4 weeks. And then something goes wrong, and you stop for a week. And see, here's my message. Every time you stop and eventually start again, all I want you to remember is every time you start again, you're starting from ground zero. And see, most people think they're starting from where they left off. You're starting from ground zero. So if you're saying, how come I can never get this thing going? It's because every time you stop, you're going to start from scratch again. Don't stop. I'd rather see you prospect less, but do it every day, as opposed to prospecting 30 people a day for 5 days and then not talking to nobody for 3 weeks. And I'm not telling you not to play the numbers, but I'm telling you consistency is the most important thing that you have for those 3 to 5 years that you're getting this sucker built. When you're getting that foundation built, you must be consistent. I'm not going to tell you 7 days a week, but at least 6. You got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. You got to invest the time. You got to log the hours. Now, I don't care how you do it. Some people get in front of the room and say, man, you should prospect 2 hours a day. Some people will tell you should prospect 3 hours a day. I'd love to lie to you. I wouldn't really love to lie, Pam, because I don't lie. Okay, but I'd love to tell you, man, every day, 2 hours a day. Every day I did it 3 hours a day. Everybody operates differently. The way I always operated was based on results. So it wasn't based on hours. My mornings, when I was full-time, my mornings were dedicated to prospecting, and I had a result in mind. The result might have been I need 2 more invites for the meeting on Wednesday night. Or the result might have been I got 5 kitchen tables this week. I need another 3, and I'll prospect until I get the other 3. If I get the other 3 in a half hour, I get them in a half hour. If I get the other 2 guests in 45 minutes, I get them in 45 minutes. If it takes me 2 hours, it'll take me 2 hours. And I'm not telling you to do it that way. I'm telling you how I did it. I was always, to me, the only thing that matters is results. And you invest the hours that you got to invest to get the results. Does that make sense? Okay. It was never, it's just, hey, man, whatever it takes. You invest the time that it takes to get the result that you want. And a lot of people are not result-oriented. And that's why they don't get any. You got to be result-oriented. So you be willing to put in the time to get the results you want. Know you have the best products and services. Why? Because people can smell a phony a mile away. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Listen, these articles are unbelievable. And they will absolutely help us recruit more people. There's no doubt about it. They will absolutely help us recruit more people. But at the end of the day, you do need to remember what people really buy is people. And what they buy is they buy your conviction. They buy your belief. They buy your sincerity. They buy your seriousness. That's what people buy. And if you don't know that you got the best product, which means the best business opportunity in America, and if you don't know that you have the best service, people are going to sense that you waver, and nobody listens to people that waver. See, it's not whether you're tall or short. It's not whether you're black or white. It's not whether you're fat or skinny. It's not whether you're a male or a female. It's whether you got conviction. It's whether you have belief. People listen to people. I mean, there's people that you talk to, and you know that they're serious. You know that they're not messing around. And I'm not talking about playing hardball. I'm just talking about people can tell if somebody believes in what they do, right? And people believe, number one, in people that speak with conviction. And number two, they ask less questions. You would love for people to ask you less questions, wouldn't you? Yeah. Man, have more conviction. See, when they don't sense conviction, as Jimmy, you ever see Jimmy get up in front of the room and talk about how people dip? You ever hear him talk about, how you doing? Well, and they dip, right? I can't do it like him. I mean, but the bottom line is that they see you waver. That's when they really start trying to fire holes in you. People they don't try to poke holes as much into people that really just talk with conviction. It's like, what's the first step to communication? Eyeball to eyeball contact. Always look people in the eye when you talk to them. Always give people a firm handshake when you meet them. It's everything. Know you have the best opportunity. That goes with the best products and services. Accept the numbers. Hey, out of every 10 people you hire, 3 will disappear. 3 are going to talk a great game and do nothing. 3 are going to be happy part-timers, and 1's going to be a player. You know what? I think those are great numbers. I think it's great that of every 10 people I hire, 4 are going to work. That's awesome. Now, you could choose to look at, man, out of every 10 people I hire, 6 do nothing. Or you could look at, man, that's pretty awesome. 3 are going to work, and 1's going to work really hard. You have to accept the numbers. Does the owner of a McDonald's stand at the window and look at all the cars that are driving by and get depressed? They don't worry about the people that drive by. All they care about is the people that pull in. If you owned any type of business, all you would concern yourself with is the people that walk in those doors, right? Not all the people, for all the people that walk into a McDonald's, and McDonald's does a phenomenal business. How many people are driving by? For all the people that pull into a hotel and register and take a room in that hotel, how many people just drove by? how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people just keep on driving down. Is that Interstate 95? Is that what it is? Okay, just keep on driving. Okay, it doesn't matter who doesn't join. You really have to adopt that attitude. I've always said this, and I said it because I believe it, and maybe it's so simple that people don't think about it. I think it's good that everybody doesn't get involved in our business, because I really believe that if they did, we wouldn't have an opportunity. The reason why you can't get anything out of a job is because everybody does it. If everybody did this would be nothing. So it doesn't matter who doesn't show up to the meeting. It really doesn't. And it doesn't matter who doesn't join. The only thing that matters is who does show up. If you've got 15 people invited to a not meeting and 3 show up, you've got a choice to focus on the 3 who showed up or the 12 who didn't. And most people, unfortunately, focus on the 12 who didn't. And I'm playing big numbers here. Most people, if they invited 5 and 1 showed up, they're actually foolish enough to talk in front of that one other person about, I can't believe I had 4 other people tonight. I mean, they definitely need to sit through a class on conduct before, during, and after an opportunity meeting. Being on stage 24 hours a day. Everybody's got a flashing sign on their chest that says, make me feel special. Doesn't matter about the 4 that didn't show. The only thing that matters about the 1 that did. You're never going to have everybody you invited to a school show up to that school. Unless it was 1 or 2 people and you you shoved them in your car and everything like that. But if you got 10 people that told you they're going to be at a school, 10 aren't showing up. I'll never forget early on in my career. As a matter of fact, there was that first school down in South Jersey. First school, August of 1984. I had so many people on I joined in June of 84. I had a bunch of people on my team tell me they were going to be at the school that I rented a van. Me and Pete Alvarez rented a van. And we told all our people that we would meet them at Colonia Senior High at such and such time in the morning, and we'll all drive down together. We rented a van, everything like that. And the only people that drove in that van was me, Pete, and Amy Alvarez. Nobody showed up. That's just the way it is. Do they care that you spend money on a van? They could care less. But you got to accept the numbers. People aren't saying no to you. They're saying no to what you're offering. And that's not something to make you feel good. That's a fact. So once you've accepted the numbers, then you got to work the numbers. I don't know how many millions of people live in the state of Florida. How many, Mike? Ballpark. 8 million people. And you need 7 to 10 to become stone wealthy. And you're worrying about the 3 people that didn't show up this week? In New Jersey, we got between 7 and 9 million people. If all you need is 7 to 10 key people, and you got 8 million to pick from, why are you getting so flustered and mad and depressed about people that don't show up? And people don't join? And people that quit? It's a numbers game. And always assume interest. Always assume interest. What do you mean, Jim? I mean, a lot of people have a hard time recruiting because when they talk to people, they're very like, Pam, Leroy, I just got involved in this thing, and I really think it's, if you guys would just take a little time on Wednesday night to come take a look at it, I mean, I'll take you out for drinks afterwards and everything like that. I mean, they're just like, maybe, please, and instead of like, hey, Pam and Leroy, I'll tell you, I'm involved in an incredible company. They're expanding right now. I was talking to the vice president of the office the other day, asked me if I knew somebody at this. I mean, I immediately thought about you. I know you guys will love this. You got to assume interest. Like any time I invite somebody to a meeting, always somewhere in there's something about Dave. I know you're going to love it, man. I know you're going to love what I show you. I'm always assuming interest. What I'm trying to tell you is tell them they're going to love it. I assume interest.